Well. One of us predicted the outcome of this game, and it wasn't you, Dash.
3 people did.
Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash and Big Easy. I almost forgot your name, Dash.
Hi.
Jesus.
Who else predicted it?
Who else was here? 47 predicted a Steelers win as well.
Nobody predicted the Will Allen interception to seal the victory other than me, though.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I'm just a super genius.
It's
I'm more of a super genius than the super genius.
It's pretty hardcore.
Please believe. But everybody
I would have predicted Scobie missing a 40-yard field goal.
Listen, nobody predicted to score this game. 12-6. I mean, it
wasn't
besides
it 12-9?
Besides the Big Ben injury, I mean, this game was pretty boring because the defense has played pretty well in this game.
Definitely wasn't 12-9, or else we wouldn't have hit that. Thank you, though.
This was
Pittsburgh.
obviously the Big Ben injury is the biggest story of this game, but we'll get to that here in a minute. But this defense, I don't know, they won this game for us, but I'm not as excited as some other people because the Rams offense really didn't do a whole lot to begin with.
No, but I mean, you look at this defense, man, as usual, they shut the run down, correct?
Yeah, they've had no trouble shutting the run down over the last half of last year. And
right, they got to the ball quick
pretty
in
much
this game.
year so
they
far.
were hitting pretty hard. You seen Mitchell out there making some hard hits, and Blake actually on that last play of the game, he was the one that made that hit for Kenny Britt to drop the ball there. They didn't let up the big play. You're right, the offense didn't do much, but they really didn't let them in their own territory too much. They got a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, at times at least. I think they had 3 QB hits total or something like that, 2 sacks. I mean, you want to see more than that most of the time. But they came up with the turnover at the right time, like you said, and they forced a turnover on downs at the right time at the end of the game there. And let's not forget, they did this all without Ryan Shazier, too.
Yeah, they still let Foles complete passes in bunches too much. And his completion percentage, although he's a high completion quarterback, what was he, 19 of 28, I think. Not fantastic by any means, but that's still
Kept him
better.
out of the end zone.
That's still better. Well, this is what the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Foles is a middle of the road to good quarterback. So if this defense meets some better quarterbacks, things could be a little bit different. I'm not taking anything away from the effort they gave in this victory, though, because once Ben went down, the defense really did tighten up. They had 1 or 2 goal line stands in this game. This defense is going to need to play like this for the next 4 to 6 weeks until Ben comes back, because I don't see the Steelers scoring more than maybe around 21 points a game if they're lucky without Ben.
Well, listen, man, anytime you hold a team to 6 points, you did your job no matter what. 6 points is hard to do, especially with this Steelers defense. Look, the last time they did it was in 2013, and that was at the New York Jets. They did that in Week 6. Before that, it was way back in 2011 in Week 16, and they did it to these very Rams. So, I mean, anytime you can hold a team to 6 points, you did your job. I don't care if you're playing Johnny Manziel and the Cleveland Browns.
Right. The Rams offense did good against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 1, but I don't know, they kind of crapped the bed against Washington in Week 2, so I'm still not too impressed by them. So, again, not taking anything away from this defense. They can dominate average to lesser offenses, it looks like.
They put up
but
30 on Seattle. That's wild to me.
Division games, though, you got to remember. I mean, you've seen Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Right.
One team can be complete garbage, and it's still a game.
Yeah, I forget about that aspect when those 2 teams hook up.
Yeah, I mean, I still expected more out of this Rams offense, but if you think about it, man, they really got to find some kind of run game. They haven't done that at all this season. Actually, coming into the game, Tavon Austin was their leading rusher. And in this game, I mean, if you look, Trey Mason had 9 carries for 16 yards. Todd Gurley made his NFL debut, had 6 carries for 9 yards. And Benny Cunningham had 1 carry for 12 yards. Foles had 10 yards on a carry. Chris Givens was the leading rusher with that reverse, a 24-yard run on a reverse. So really, they got to find some kind of run game out there. And I think Todd Gurley is going to be that guy eventually here, maybe after their bye. But right now, I mean, they have no run game whatsoever. And Nick Foles needs to find his guy in the passing game, too. I mean, Kenny Britt had a good game, 7 catches, 102 yards. but he's not really a go-to guy. They need to find someone else out there that is his go-to guy.
Speaking of Kenny Britt, Mike Mitchell, he dominated Britt. I seen him destroy Britt a couple times. Can I actually say that Mitchell played a good game? Am I allowed to say that on this show?
Yeah, I think he played a good game too. It's pretty surprising, and you know
Come out
what?
and start
Maybe
hitting
he
people.
was
I like
hurt
it.
last year, all year, and they just kept it a secret or whatever they said. But
I like
maybe
it.
he is going to be as good as he looked in Carolina.
I don't know. This game, at least, I like the combo of Mitchell and Will Allen. I've been a big proponent of getting Shamarko in the lineup. I don't like relying on old guys. I'm not hating on it either, but you got these young guys in here. You got to find out what they can do. But Will Allen's been solid so far. I was surprised he played this week with the concussion in week 2, though.
Are we just playing some bunk offenses, though, or what? I mean,
I mean, the
that's
Rams have
possible.
one of the worst ranked offenses in the league, and I know the San Francisco 49ers, the last I seen, was like the 23rd ranked offense. So it's kind of part of that. But like I said a couple minutes ago, we can dominate a lesser offense. We still didn't play that bad against Tom Brady and their great offense, though. So if the defense can continue to get a little better, we can find a middle ground, hopefully.
And let's not forget, I mean, when looking at these stats through 3 games, for the Steelers at least, you'd have to wipe away that first game. They didn't even know what they were doing out there. Look at these last 2 games, and I think that's more of a sign that they're not going to let up 6 points a game or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but you got to wipe that New England game away because they did not know what they were doing on defense at all in that game.
I just don't understand how Tomlin let that happen.
It was pretty
It's still
surprising.
baffling to me. I don't how you could be that unprepared. You knew you were playing them for all this time. It was just
Maybe
ridiculous.
they were preparing for Janine Garoppolo or whatever.
Still, we've played Brady enough to know what he's going to do. Shred us.
yeah, that was that, but they cleared him like a week before the game there or something, didn't they?
Yeah, that was weird.
It was really close.
But if you ask me, I mean, there isn't
Could
really
throw him
a guy on this defense that really stood out as bad in this game to me. I mean, there was a couple, I think Blake had a penalty or something, but he came up with a couple big hits, and he was on his guy most of the game. I mean, they look pretty good all in all.
I think the front 7 looked the best. We've been saying all year that they're the strong part of the defense. Tuitt had the sack. Moats had a sack. We've seen Harrison get a couple pressures off the edge. It's going to be telling without Ryan Shazier also going against good offenses, so we'll see. I was talking to Brandon earlier, and he said if it was a stinger, he would probably be back in right now. And obviously, Brandon didn't examine him, so he's not saying for sure, but from what he's hearing, it sounds kind of like maybe an AC joint sprain, where, you know, that's going to cause weakness in the shoulder. You're not going to be able to lift it as high as you should be able to. You're not going to be able to lift anything heavy. So until he gets that strength back, he'll be on the sidelines. But he said sometimes that can take up to 4 weeks to heal.
So dude's worthless then because he's just been hurt the whole time. Is he ever going to be healthy? Probably not.
See, I
Because
disagree.
he
I
flies
don't-
around like Paul Amalu, he gets broke.
He hit somebody hard, dude, and I mean it just happens. It's football.
Well,
Yeah,
he's going to hit
it
someone
does,
hard
but
every
listen,
in the first game of the year and be broke then.
a lot of people were saying he was injury prone just because of the one injury that kept him out long term. But then, I mean, really, you can't call him injury prone because of that. But now another injury. I mean, I wouldn't call him injury prone already. But I mean, if this does happen again, you've got to start looking at it as maybe he is an injury prone player. And I mean, sometimes you got to deal with that.
If you don't play Thursday night, then
Oh, he's not going to play.
No, I'm not
Thursday.
saying that. Like if he
So he's
comes
out
back
again.
healthy and then
I mean, that's just
then
my
he goes
opinion.
down with
2
another
games he's
injury.
missing. 2 games he's missing.
If they get him back, man, this defense is going to look pretty good. In
If
my
the game
opinion.
was on Sunday, he might be able to play easy, but I doubt with the short turnaround this week that he'll play. Like I said, he's got to be able to. There's like a limit of weight he has to be able to hold and get his shoulder up a certain height before they'll let him go in there. You don't want him playing with a weak arm; then he's not going to be able to tackle anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't call him injury prone yet. It's still only 1 season that he's ever played. You got to have this happen multiple seasons for me to call somebody injury prone. Anybody can have bad luck and get hurt 1 or 2 years in a row.
Yeah, not yet, but like I said, if he comes back healthy and then you see him go down at the end of the year and then you see another injury next year, I mean, it's time to start
I
thinking
mean, this
that
is
way.
the second long-term injury for Pouncey. I mean, I know he's played more years,
I mean,
but yeah.
Pouncey is the king of, what do you call
You
it?
could call him injury prone
But
too, and I mean, you
Last
could
year
argue
wasn't
that.
even his fault, though.
Ben's
No,
only
no,
played
it's not.
16 games, I think, twice in his career. So, I mean, people get hurt. It's football.
Yeah, it is. It's just sad,
Especially the physical
it's sad to
style.
see him miss games.
Yeah, it is because he's the best player on our defense right now.
Then you look offensively. What did we say last week? They scored a ton of points. Then they come in this week, and we're saying they got to do it on the road. They got to do it on the road. And again, it just didn't happen with them. But if you look at the beginning of the game, really, it looked like they were going to. They went up, what was it? Actually 9-0 real quick. But that first drive of the game, it lasted 7 minutes and 42 seconds, that first drive. And Ben was 7 for 8 on that drive. He got everyone involved. Bell touched the ball. Antonio Brown obviously touched the ball. Marcus Wheaton, Heath, D'Angelo Williams. Every single one of these guys touched the ball on this drive. They ended up running the ball on 3rd and goal again, which, again, we think was a mistake. I think you said that at the time. And they ended up with 3 points on that drive. And then their second drive was their best drive of the game. They went 93 yards, drove pretty much straight down the field. Bell ended up with the 2-yard touchdown. And this is the drive Brown actually got his 5 for 50 on.
Am I the only one who thought the Steelers should have went for the touchdown on the first drive? I mean, you had the Rams. They would have been backed up to like the 2 or 3 yard line
They
if they
should have
got
ran
the
the
ball.
ball 3 straight times, even on 4th down.
See,
They tried some weird.
You don't know what the
play.
Rams offense was going to look like at that point in the game. A lot of people thought the Rams offense would look pretty good in this game.
I
mean,
agree.
We all predicted them to score more points than this, but
But they're not like they're Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Peyton Manning led offense. Any quarterback is going to have a really hard time going 98 yards. Everybody. It
Except
doesn't matter
for
how
Terrell
great you
Pryor.
are. But I mean, I would have put the pressure on the Rams right there. I would have put some faith in my defense, some faith in Ben Roethlisberger. I would have went for it. We're going for 2 all these times, man. Just let's have some guts.
That 3 points there helped in the long.
Yeah.
When you
I was
look
just
at
going to
it.
say, what
But
if they didn't
I
go
would've
for
went
3
it.
there?
I would have went for it. Too.
I mean, you
Who
can look
cares?
back and say you
I mean, if they
should
go
have
up
went for it or
7-0
whatever.
there and then score again and go up 14-0.
It's nice,
totally different
but what
game.
if they do get stopped there and now it's a 9-6 game and all St. Louis needs is a field goal, and instead of throwing the ball deep down the middle of the field for that pick in the end, they drive down the field for a field goal or something, you know what I mean? So maybe it was the right choice in the end, but when it first happened, I wouldn't have minded going for the touchdown at that point.
I'd have went for it. Great coaches have
But look,
balls.
after those 2 drives, Ben had that interception, which was actually bad because they got good field position on that play because the Rams ran a fake punt, and they could have had that fake
Stupid
punt.
ass fake punts.
Well, it would have worked out if they could have just got that guy the ball, actually. But then Pittsburgh got the ball around midfield, and immediately Ben threw that pick. And really after that, the offense pretty much did nothing. I mean, they failed to score at the end of the half on Ben's final drive of the half with 2:05 left. And then on the drive he got hurt, the first drive of the second half, they punted on. And, I mean, he put him in a 3rd and 23 situation. But then Vic came in and, 4 possessions, 3 punts, and then they got that field goal on the Will Allen pick.
What about the Kelvin Beachum penalties on the Steelers' 3rd and 4th drive? Those are kind of drive killers. Beachum was a guy everybody was clamoring to get a big contract in the offseason to lock him up and solidify that offensive line, and the Steelers didn't do it. Do you think that they, I'm not saying because he had 2 holding penalties or whatever, they want to move on from him, but do you think they're going to let him hit free agency this year?
I can't go for it to say what they're going to do. So far, I mean, this offensive line looked good. Until this game, I actually think that's part of the reason why the Steelers did not look good in this game offensively. I mean, Brown looked great. Besides that, I mean, the Rams defense pretty much shut them down, but I think it's because of this O-line. Look, the play before Ben got hurt, he got sacked. And then he got sacked on the play he got hurt. And then Michael Vick got sacked within the next 5 plays twice. So there was 4 sacks let up in a 7-play span in this game. And they let up 5 sacks total in this game. And really, the holding penalties, like you said, I really think the offense, it was more on the O-line this game. You could even see Le'Veon Bell only had 62 yards on 19 carries, and in fact, he had a 23-yard carry and a 19-yard carry. So there's 42 yards right there. So he had 17 carries for 20 yards outside of those 2 carries.
Yeah, he was getting hit in the backfield a lot. Well, what this to me is the second biggest question outside of when is Roethlisberger going to be back. What happens with this offense after Baltimore on Thursday when Martavis Bryant comes back? Does he get put right back into the lineup? Because DHB's having a good year, but there's no real second receiver standing out for Pittsburgh right now. I think Marcus Wheaton has been a disappointment even by his standards this year. And not that I expect him to be great, but I'm not impressed.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like you said, you kind of like him in the slot. So maybe when Bryant comes back, they'll put him back on the outside, put Wheaton in the slot, and maybe he'll look a little bit better from that position, more on a full-term basis maybe. But like we said before, they were thinking of going into the season as Marcus Wheaton as the number 2 anyways. I think they might scratch that idea a little bit and go with Martavis Bryant on the outside. And you look with Michael Vick, let's say, look how the Vic beat the Steelers last season. It was on a 70-yard touchdown pass to some bum receiver, Graham, I think his name was. So maybe that's one way that Vic can get a little more comfortable out there. Bring Martavis Bryant back, your deep guy, and just throw a deep ball up to him every once in a while. Maybe he can make a big play.
Yeah, we've been arguing, Dash, because you know you're a bigger Vic fan than I am. I'm not saying you're a huge Vic fan, but I think he's just pretty much terrible. I never really even took into consideration Bryant coming back and Vic being able to chuck the ball downfield. Does it change my opinion of Vic? No, I still think he's a bad quarterback. Does it change my opinion a little bit of what I think the offense can do? Maybe, because Vic always has had the arm strength. He just kind of flicks his wrist and the ball soars 50 yards downfield. It's just, can he put it 50 yards downfield into our players' hands instead of their players' hands? And I know we just discussed before we started doing this, Vic actually has the 31st best interception to per pass ratio in the league, but he's also fumbled the ball.
In history, not this season.
Yeah, but he's also fumbled the ball
a ton.
Yeah, I think he has the 18th most fumbles in league history too. So
yeah, that's going to be the big thing.
He's a turnover machine.
A lot of people are saying a turnover machine, but I wouldn't go that far, man. If he can hold on to the ball in the run game when he's running the ball, then he'll be okay. And he's not running the ball as much anymore. So I think
he don't need to run the ball.
Well, he's still going to run a little bit. If you go back and look at his stats,
I think he has to run the ball.
He's going to run some, but he's not going to be the guy that if you gave him 16 games, he's going to run for 700 yards anymore or anything like that.
Why can't he just move around like Roethlisberger?
He's just not as accurate of a passer. He can move around behind the line.
I think they're going to set him up to have some short passes to Antonio Brown, let him work his magic.
Well, they're going to have to run play actions and let him bootleg to his left side because he's left-handed, and he has a hard time rolling right and throwing across his body.
Right.
So you're going to have to let him roll to the left. You're going to have to maybe roll Heath over, let Bryant go deep. Antonio Brown's so good. He should be able to get open. It's all on Vic's completion percentage, if you ask me. Can he complete 60% of his passes or more? If he can, the offense can probably be successful. If he doesn't, it's going to be tough because if they can stack 7, 8, 9 people in the box to stop Le'Veon, you know, if Vic has to throw the ball 30 times a game, I think that's when it's going to be bad. I think his key numbers are 30 or less pass attempts per game.
The key here is the defense got to play like they've been playing the past 2 games, obviously. And Le'Veon Bell got to step his game up a little bit. Now, they're going to be playing the Ravens next week. The Rams did a great job at stopping the run, like I said. Le'Veon Bell got to be a little bit better next week. And Baltimore, good at stopping the run. So he got to pick his game up. I mean, he still had a solid game because he had 70 yards in the passing game. But we need a run game from Le'Veon Bell to help Michael Vick out.
Believe it. I don't want to say a heavy run game, I guess, but it would be nice to see Bell get 20 carries and maybe D'Angelo even get 5 to 8 carries. Split, you know, because Bell's still going to get the catches.
You can almost use Antonio Brown as a running back, too. Not saying line him up in the backfield, but just get him the ball so quick and let him try to make a play with it as well.
I wouldn't mind either. And easy, you can hate on me if you don't like this idea. They spread the field out a lot, you know, 4 wides with 1 back beside Ben. Why not throw Le'Veon in the slot when you're going to those 4 wides and let D'Angelo stay in the backfield? That way you can still run the ball if you want to check off of a pass play. You could still run the draw up the middle. You don't have like a Josh Harris or something back there. Is that a signal that you like that idea?
If they want to put Le'Veon out wide and watch him get broke too and lose him for the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, the one thing I did see is Michael Vick to Le'Veon Bell didn't look too bad in this game.
And he goes flipping over dudes, and he's going to get broke next.
They asked Mike Tomlin about that today.
Yeah, whatever.
And Tomlin said that he'd rather just let players be themselves because when you start trying to police how they play the game, that's when they get hurt more. To just let Le'Veon be Le'Veon.
Yeah, I don't care. We'll watch him flip all over the place.
He's going to have to be the workhorse, man, to get this offense to where it needs to be without Ben Roethlisberger. This whole offense was built around Ben.
Yeah, I mean, they got to change their game up a little bit. It's obvious you can't run Michael Vick the same way you play Big Ben in this offense, so they got to change things up a little bit. But I still think they have a chance to stay in these games moving forward. They can win a couple of these games. Now, It's going to be tough, though, because, like we said, they have Baltimore, and then they go at San Diego, then versus Arizona, and then at Kansas City. So even with Big Ben, I was looking at something like 2-2 here. So if Michael Vick would happen to go 1-3 or something, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Big Ben can come back in and still get him to the playoffs from that point.
If we go 0-4, do we still have a shot at the playoffs?
I mean, we'll have to see. If Cincinnati keeps winning, it's going to be a lot tougher. That's why I would have liked to see Cincinnati lose this past week. Well, I'd have liked to see him lose for more reasons than that, but really with Ben going down, it would have been real nice to see Cincinnati lose. But we're going to have to see if they keep
will crumble later in the year.
I'm hoping so too, but I mean, if we go 0-4, whether he crumbles or not, it might be a little bit too late.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. What is the key to success for the Steelers? Over or under 30 pass attempts for Vic per game?
I'm not worried about pass attempts.
If you're losing by a lot over, I mean, you got to start passing.
I mean, obviously. But
Right.
as a game plan, you're not going to game plan to be behind and have to throw 50 times.
I think what's going to happen is
Well, obviously, they're not trying to do that, man. We know that.
they're going to compete and then just not have enough in some of these games. But I like, I'll even go as far as say they'll go 2-2 with Vic, and I don't care.
I would take that all day long.
That's what I'll say, 2-2. But I bet he'll be out for 8 weeks. You watch.
They said if
better
you
not bring him
see
back. He better be 100%.
if you see Ben
Right.
walking around without crutches, that's when you know he'll be back in a few weeks. Because once he can get off the crutches, that's when he can start rehabbing. But as long as you see him still on crutches, that means he hasn't even started his rehab.
Right.
So until we see that, it's going to be a few weeks.
I'm upset with this offense still, though. Even before Big Ben got hurt, it didn't look like they were the type of offense that we were hoping
Not
they were
this
going to
week.
be. I mean, yeah, again, on the road, man, we're going to see it. Well, at least when Ben comes back, we're
On
going to
the
see it
road.
on the home. We're going to see
Pass
it at home,
rush.
and we're not going to see it on the road, it seems like.
Aaron Donald.
But I tell you what, too, the Rams' defense is starting to look a little bit better, like we expected at the beginning of the season. I mean, a lot of people thought the Rams were going to be a very good defense this year, and they did a very good job of shutting down the run in this game. And if you think about it, Matt Jones killed them last week.
Yeah.
For Washington. He had over 100 yards rushing. And pretty much outside of Antonio Brown, they pretty much shut down everyone. You look, Wheaton, 2 for 16. Heath
Well,
Miller,
Le'Veon
2
still
for
had
17.
over 100 yards from scrimmage.
Right. But, like I said, it was just those 2 big runs, really, and he got nothing on the ground. They kind of shut down Le'Veon Bell. As much
And
as
he
you
put
can,
the
you got to
ball in
remember,
the end
this is
zone. That was
Le'Veon
the
Bell.
only touchdown, and that won us the game. So he's my offensive MVP.
Yeah, either him or Antonio Brown. You got to go with one of those two. But, I mean, they somewhat shut him down just for the fact that, I mean, he had a 3.3 yards per carry average. And with those 2 big runs, I mean, they shut him down pretty much all game.
Yeah, with Le'Veon, it's not all about just running the ball, though. He's a different type of back.
And that Janoris Jenkins that
Le'Veon.
ended up having that interception, I heard before the game something. He has the most touchdowns defensively in football over the past 2 or 3 years or something. That dude's a beast. So they're starting to turn it around defensively. And I think that has something to do with why Pittsburgh didn't do much in this game. And I think Baltimore's defense next week, they're not nearly as good as St. Louis in the long run. I mean, the stats might be similar right now or something. Who knows? But I think it's going to be a lot better for Vic. I mean, he's good. He doesn't have a full week, so that still sucks that he doesn't have a full week to prepare for a game. But at least he has some time to prepare to go into Baltimore, who looks like a bad defense. So, I mean, there's a chance they can go in and win that game to start. And then from there, let's see what happens. If you go 0-3, it ain't the end of the world from there then.
Well, who's your offensive player of the game, Dash?
You said Le'Veon Bell. I was actually going to go with Antonio Brown. This guy, I mean, 11 catches, 108 yards. He had 5 for 50 with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. This guy is a monster. And we were talking, now that Vic is in, is Antonio Brown going to keep getting that 5 for 50? That's a question, but really, I mean, Antonio Brown is such a beast.
No one cares
that
about that.
I wouldn't surprise if he got to 5 at least.
He just made up the record anyway, quite honestly.
Oh, you could say you don't care about
No,
it, but
we
that
don't.
is monster.
I don't care about
Find
it
someone
whatsoever.
find a receiver that even gets 50 yards a game, let alone the 5 catches. Who cares about that, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's no receiver that gets 50 yards every single game.
I
And
forget-
it's not even that. He's getting over 100 yards a game.
Do you know how many games the guy in
The
second
truth.
place has?
And
I forget the name of the guy, but
thought
do you
it
know
was
who
Woodhead.
has for 5 for 50 the streak?
I thought it
Who
was
has the
Woodhead.
second longest
It's
streak?
probably like
No,
not even
no.
16,
19.
19.
Who is it?
I forget. They said it on the fan
we gotta look
today.
that up. Hey, you know who my offensive player was? Scobie,
Because he made a field goal.
because he made 2 field goals.
They still didn't let him kick the extra point, though. I thought that was pretty funny. Screw you, Scobie.
Yeah, but thank you for making
There's a
those
question
2.
for you. Are they going to be kicking the extra point more going forward?
I think Vic is
all
probably
day.
gives him a good option in a 2-yard scramble play. You know what I mean? That's the only thing he's really good at.
You know what? I could see
In a
him.
2-yard scramble play.
The fumble machine will either fumble on the 2-point conversion or break himself.
Well, dude,
and
he
then
let
it'll be
somebody swat the ball
Gradkowski.
right out of his hand on like his 3rd freaking drop back from center.
Going for 2 was with Roethlisberger. It's not for Mike Vick.
Well,
Let's
listen,
get these extra points and get up 7.
real quick, I want to go back to the Steelers defense real quick and how great they played in this game. But like you said, the St. Louis Rams offense did make some mistakes in this game. You remember Kendricks dropped that pass down
Yeah.
the sideline. That could have changed the game right there.
Yeah, he was
and
wide.
it could have been 10-9 St. Louis at that point. What else? That fake punt, obviously.
They had it. He was twide.
They screwed that over.
They were both twide.
Believe
The
it.
interception at the end obviously hurt for Foles. And then the drop pass by Britt at the end of the game to keep the drive going. So, I mean, this could have turned out in a different way. And I believe the St. Louis Rams team is going to be better towards the end of the season. I think this offense is going to get it going once they get Todd Gurley back, find a run game. I think St. Louis is going to be a good team still.
Right?
All right, well, this is not a St. Louis segment. It's
What?
a Steeler recap.
Well, it's a Steelers St. Louis recap.
All right, well, St. Louis, you're garbage. You're beat, you're garbage.
Believe it.
Damn. How about this, Jim? I know you hate Michael Vick here. Would you rather have him or Colin Kaepernick?
Nice. Good one.
Not even in Michael Vick's prime. Right now, would you
Right
rather
now?
have Michael Vick or Colin Kaepernick?
As your backup.
Well, starting for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I just forfeit all 4 games so the rest of your players don't get hurt because you
No.
ain't going to win with
You
either
need to
one of them.
Answer the question. Cap or Vic?
I don't want either one of them, man.
Gradkowski then.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
you-
take Gradkowski
Well, you
over
get
both
Michael
of them.
Vick, so too bad.
Call up Terrell Pryor right now.
You'd rather have Terrell Pryor. Are you kidding me?
TP instead of MV.
Vic's garbage.
He ain't even going to say.
How
He
about
don't care.
defensive
He don't
player of the
care.
game? Who you giving that to?
Will Allen, man.
Yeah.
Pick at the end of the game to seal the victory.
Yeah, he held onto the ball.
I think I'm going to give it to Stephon Tuitt. He ended up getting a sack, and he was in the backfield on a lot of these runs. The reason St. Louis didn't get a lot of rushing yardage had a lot to do with Stephon Tuitt in this game, so I'm going to give it to him.
He's my co-defensive player of the game.
Stephon Tuitt didn't make me look like Nostradamus, so I got to
Yeah.
go with Will Allen.
Oh, I
Yeah.
knew that's why you went with him.
Yeah.
I just didn't say anything.
Is that it? Is that all we got? Steelers taking on Baltimore on Thursday night.
We'll see ya. We'll see you there.
You're
Fans-
doing the preview tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're doing our
Live.
preview show tomorrow, so look out for that. You can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube. Here we go, Pittsburgh. I hope I'm wrong about Vic, but